Okay.
I changed some words. I don't know if you noticed, but I changed some words. For example, the name, I changed it to identity. Okay. Human being, we have an attachment to our identity, which is another way of saying our name. But it's a
Okay.
bigger idea than just our name. Our identity, who we are, our job title, those are the things that is associated with our sense of identity. Okay. Identity, not identify. Identify is a verb that means you put a name to something, right?
Oh,
With
put a name.
when a person dies, when a person gets into an accident and die, and the police will call a family member to come and identify the dead body. That is the way of identifying, putting the name to the dead body. Okay, identify is a verb form of putting name onto something, associating a name to something or someone. Identify this. This is a pen. Okay.
Oh.
Identity, I am Frank. I am a mental wit. That is my identity. I'm my father, I'm a husband. All of those are identity. And we are attached to identity.
Identity.
Yeah,
Oh.
identity. Okay, good word. You
Identity.
know that? Yeah. Identity, identification. It is a sense of who we are by which we know ourselves and other people
Okay.
know
That's
us.
the name we call
Ourselves.
something to ourselves. I am mother, I'm a lady.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm an a worker, I'm a boss, I'm an employee, I am something. That part that comes after the I am is when is the identity. In the Holy Bible, the Christian Bible, when God sends one of his prophets, his name is Moses. When God sends prophet Moses, he said, Moses, go out there and tell people about God.
Oh,
And Moses said, what do I say? Who are you? Who are you, God? Who do I say that God is? And instead of saying what God is, God doesn't say I am this or I am that. God just say, I am. I am.
I am.
So it is human beings that attribute identity to the to things and other people. But the essence of all things is empty, right? What is this what is this that I'm holding up? Let me ask you, what is this that I'm holding up?
Well,
this thing right here. How about, yeah. You're looking on, you can look at the share screen or look at my face screen, the share screen, look at the share screen. What am I holding up?
I see. It's a pen. It's a
It is
pen.
a pen, okay? If a puppy dog was to see this, what would a puppy dog do with it?
Maybe it's a toy or a bone.
So yeah, a puppy dog will, if it thinks it's a toy, it'll play with it. But if it thinks it's a bone, it will chew on it. All right, so between you and me, who see this as a pen, and a puppy dog who sees this as a toy or a bone, are we correct or is the dog correct? Who's right? Are we right or is the dog right?
All are right.
We're both right.
We
Because
right
of our
and dog
attachment
right.
to identity. We are attached to this identity. Right? But now, if I put this down, if I leave the room, if you, all of us leave the room, And if the dog also leave the room, what is this then?
It's like it is.
Hmm? If you and I are not here and the dog is not here, what is this?
It's maybe nothing.
It's nothing. It is nothing, not because it's not real, it's real, right? It's there, it's real, it exists. It's nothing, not because it doesn't exist. It exists, it's real, but it is nothing because there is no observer observing it. In order for it to be something, an object, it has to be an observer and object. So without an observer, then the essence of this is nothing. It is our human mind that we place an identity, we place a meaning to it. But the essence of all things, is empty. It is nothing until we make it something using our thinking mind. Right? So the essence of all things is nothing. And if we are no one, if we are not attached to our identity, if we are no one, then essentially, what can we become? This, because it is nothing, it can be anything, right? The moment that you and I go back into the room, we see this as what? We use it to write, right? So we see it as a pen. The moment that a little puppy dog comes back into the room, what does it do? It would chew on it because it identify that as a toy or a bone. So yeah, Ji Trang said, if we are no one, then we can become anyone. An object, because the object is nothing, that it has unlimited potential. We can use this to write as a pen. We can use this as a toy to, hit a drum, to make it a drumstick. We can turn this into a business opportunity. We use this to write and we can sell this pen, promote it, market, mass produce it, make a lot of money. So this, instead of just being a pen, it could be an instrument of money making. See, if an object is essentially nothing, then it can become anything. And just the same as human being, if we know one, then we become anyone. And because if we're already someone, then it is harder or impossible to become anyone different, anyone else. Right? But if we are no one, then we can become anyone. And that is a truth that is very freeing, right? Do you feel that it opens up a lot of possibility of how we can become anyone, you can do anything, if we're not attached to the identity part? This is my new drawing. And in the past, I've drawn this word as name, right? Now I'm drawing it as identity. We open it up a little bit.
Yes,
Okay, so
I saw that. Yes, I saw
so
that.
identity. So name is a little too narrow, but identity, I think it's a closer to the Vietnamese word yan. Okay.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes.
All righty. It is 6 p.m. So we're gonna get started. Thank you. Who is it? Who's here today? Let's see.
Lâm.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. For the sharing today. I'm grateful that you've taken your time. I'm sure there are other things to do. Merry Christmas to those of you who celebrate Christmas.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Downstairs.
Happy New Year.
Not yet. Next year. Next year will be next week will be Happy New Year. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to continue. I think today is day number 6 in our season 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, already. Yeah, season 2, day number 6. Last
fast.
week we touch upon the human construct. Okay, so we begin, first of all, let me just do my beginning introduction. So I always like to generate the purpose of our discussion. Okay, so let's just make that something very real. Move this to the side. So as a ritual, we like to generate the purpose of our meeting is to expand, changing some words today, expand the range of our inner awareness. Okay, we're going to expand the range of our inner awareness so that we can create peace and happiness. Okay, I assume most people want some degree of happiness. In America, the Constitution of the United States guarantee that we have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, last time we talked about the idea that although we all want happiness, we seem to all look outside of ourselves for happiness. Hello, Ms. Han and Ms. Zhang. So we always seem to look outside of our happiness, for happiness. We look for things that are constantly changing. Right? Things that are not permanent, things that are not necessarily true. The story of the human beings and the demons, the demon has stolen that which is most precious that we have, a certain truth within ourselves, the kind of truth that will free us from suffering, okay? And the kind of truth that will help us achieve lasting peace and happiness. And it is just a simple truth. It's just the idea that it's just a concept. It is the idea that there are things in this universe that are not changing. Something that we can take refuge in, okay? Keyword, to take refuge in, to find peace. And if we are to be able to find that truth, we will experience peace and we will be able to create happiness. Okay, and so we talked about the human construct. It is a combination of some religion and spirituality, some Buddhist philosophy, as well as some scientific perspective and some common languages as well. The truth, the simple truth within us is that deep inside of us, we all have the will to hear and the will to see, the will to speak and the will to know. In fact, you can write some of these key, let me write some of the key words down for you with respect to this. There are some words that I want to sort of have you write down as part of this lesson. Let me see. Okay. To illustrate the truth that is within us, what you want to do is write down the word already, always, already, always. As human beings, we are already, always hearing. We are already, always seeing. We are already always speaking, and we are already always knowing. Okay, science has proven that even while we were still in our mother's womb, a fetus, we're not even born yet, we can already hear, we can already see. That's why they tell pregnant mother to speak to the baby, to the unborn baby. Okay, we can hear and we can see, even if we don't have eyes and ear fully developed. We are always hearing and we are always seeing. Once we're born, we start to hear and see. We start to hear sound. We start to see images, and we start to speak. And once we start speaking, we don't stop speaking. Even when we close our mouth or we go to sleep, we are speaking in our mind, right? Our thought, our thinking. We are always speaking and our knowing. Once we know something, it is impossible to unknow something, right? So that's a simple truth. We're always hearing, we're always seeing, we are always speaking, and we are always knowing. And this is just a very simple, automatic will that is part of human being. We take no effort in doing it, and we just do it. Now, as we grow up, we start to think. We start to develop a mind, a personality. We start to have desire. Okay, and then from then we start to have feelings, emotion. And the scientific word for the common language is feelings. Scientific word is emotion. Our mind, our thinking mind, makes up our personality, right? Is there a let's see. Okay, so this is an updated list of the way we look at the human construct. In a common language, we have the human body from the outside in, the body, the body. Okay, science just call it human body. The Buddhist philosophy call it the four-element body. Right inside of that, we have feelings. The feelings, science call it emotion. Buddhists call it 84,000 bubbles of illusion. And you notice that the body and the emotions are very close to each other. They're interconnected. They're wrapped inside a bubble of positive and negative polarity. The red and blue wavy line represent positive and negative electromagnetic polarity. And we will see that's why our emotion, it goes positive and goes negative. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad. Our body, it's positive and it's negative. Sometimes we're cold, sometimes we're hot. And inside that common language, we call this the mind. The mind in science makes up the personality. Remember the first frame of reference we talked about was the root cause formula, or the formula for the root cause of life. We talked about the personality. The personality makes up our choices in life, which gives us the outcome that we have today. Okay, it is our personality and our mind. The Buddhists call it our 16th nature. And then deep within that, in common language, we call it our heart. When we're in love, we say, I feel it in my heart that this person is right for me. Okay. In scientific language, it is a truth. It's a kind of truth that does not change over space or time. In a spiritual language, we call it the inner being or the true self. The Buddha called it the Buddha nature. In Christian language, it is the image of God. Okay? The image of God is because in the Bible, it talks about in the beginning, there was the will, and the will was with God, and will is God. And then you link that to another statement in the Bible, God speak, the will to speak. God speak, and then everything was created in the world. So human being, we are the image of God. We have the will to hear, to see, to speak, and to know. Okay? So those are the different words that people use to represent the human beings. Here we'll use words. You'll see me use words such as the mind. You'll see me say words such as the emotion. Today we're going to focus on the 16 nature, and then we'll go back to the inner being and explain that at the beginning. Hello everyone for saying hi on the chat. Thank you for taking your time to join us today. I'm grateful that it is Christmas. Some of you probably have family, but you've taken the time, or since your family have taken care of the things that you need to do so that you can spend the time with us today. So I'm very happy. Okay, happy for you. Okay.
He
So,
also a family, ma.
yeah, my family is downstairs. Okay.
No, I mean, here also is our family.
We are all family. Yeah, we are
Yeah.
family. We're a big family. Okay. Yeah. So we're gonna focus on the 16 human nature. The Buddhists call it the 16 human nature. And as we go through each of them, you will find that it is our mind, our thinking mind, and it is makes up our personality. So we'll begin with this word outside of our inner being. Oh, by the way, the yellow circle represents a halo of light that envelops our inner being. In the Christian tradition, if you look at the painting and the pictures of the saints, the holy people, the baby Jesus, Mary, Mother of God, Saint Joseph, all the holy people are usually painted with a halo of light around the head. Angels that flies around, they are drawn with a circle, a halo of light. Okay. In Buddhist tradition, they also believe that the inner being is wrapped up in a sphere or a circle of light. It is pure, it is good, it is innocent. And that's why we draw the inner being wrapped up in a halo of light. And we will explain more about the halo of light. It is a very balanced, very high energy part of ourselves. Okay. But for now, we're going to explore the other ones, starting with admission. Admission is simply the ability to let things in, right? To admit something, to receive, to take in. In the formula for the root cause of life discussion, we talk about our mental images determine our belief, which determine our choices, which determine our outcome in life. And in order to control or change our belief, we have to do is pay attention to what we see and what we hear. And we can change what we know and we speak. That has to do with our admission. What we see and what we hear, we can allow what we see and what we hear to become part of us or not. Right nowadays, we go on Facebook, we go on YouTube, and there are unlimited type of information. Not all of them are good for us. If we can control what we see, what we let in, right? What we see, what we hear, what we allow to become part of our being, and how we speak, that is part of admission, is to let the images in, okay? And we can pick and choose what we decide to let in. That's what it means to have an admission. Okay, once we recognize this, before we discussed this, we didn't even know that we had a choice. Now that we know that as part of human being, we have the choice that we can choose to let certain thing in and not let certain thing in. This is the input, okay? And then once we take things into ourselves, into our being, we start to think about it. This is called ideation. Ideation can be split up into several components. It is basically thinking. It's another word for thinking. Ideation is thinking. scratch paper. I'll find a blank piece of paper. Okay. So ideation is, in the simplest term, is thinking. But when we think, okay, when we think about the past, we think about the present, and we think about the future. Right? If we think about the past, it is called remembering. Remember, just above. Okay, we remember. We think about the future, it's called plan ahead. Planning. I'm just going to say planning. Okay. And when we think about the present, we are fantasizing. Fantasizing. That is an S, S-I-Z. Okay, fantasizing. Okay, and this thinking is another word for ideation. Ideation or imagination. Okay, so we think in words and sometimes we think in pictures and images. All right, so that's what human being, we do that. And it seemed to be so automatic. We're always thinking. Has anybody ever found an off button to thinking? Can you stop thinking? Anybody able to find? Thank you, Chi-Tang, for the gift of compliment on my writing skill. It has improved a little bit. Okay. Yeah, so we're always thinking, okay? That is ideation. And then once we have thoughts, when we start to think, we have the will to express ourselves. Okay, and we express ourselves either in words by speaking or in action. All right, we express ourselves in words or in action. That's a simple one, right? And then on a more creative way, people, there are people who express themselves by doing creative art. People express themselves by analyzing, okay, by thinking. So we have the ability to express ourselves. And then cognition. Cognition is a word that has to do with knowledge, to know. Okay. Once we have information that we take in, once we start thinking about it, once we start expressing it, then it becomes the totality of what we know. That's a part of cognition. In the root cause formula, we talked about a type of mental health therapy called cognitive behavior therapy. Change the way you know and the way you think in order to change your behavior. Cognitive therapy, but it is our cognition. Okay, it is very close to our inner being because it happens almost instantaneously. Anybody have any questions so far about admission, ideation, expression, and cognition? No? Yeah? Everybody clear on that so far? Okay. So right outside of admission, ideation, expression, and cognition, we have the part of our nature that has to do with resources, appearance, identity, food, and rest. Resources has two types of resources. Financial resources, which is money. Right? Most of us, everybody want money, want material wealth. We want to be rich. We want a fortune. And then another type of resource is talent or ability. Both money and ability are something that we use to get what we want in life. right? Those are resources. Resources are things that you use until they are used up, essentially. A country that has a lot of natural resources can use those resources to sell it, to build things, to manufacture, to create a fortune. We human being, we want more and more and more resources all the time. We go to work so that we can get money, so that we use the money to buy things that we want in life. We apply ourselves to improve ourselves so that we can expand our ability, our capability, so that we can influence people, or so that we can do things so that ultimately we can get what we want. Right? So resources are either the financial resource or the ability that we have. It is, okay. A person who has a lot of resources is usually a leader, a great successful people, has a lot of money, and they also have a lot of friends, a lot of people. Does anybody remember that the house of holistic wealth? The 7 candles that we light up. One of them is capability. Capability sits right next to material possession. People who have a lot of capability has a lot of power and influence over other people, and they can also accumulate a lot of money. But in order to have capability, you have to have character and and integrity. And in order to have character and integrity, you have to have attitude and wisdom. So that house of holistic wealth and health, let me see if I still have it. Let me see. House, let's see that house. There we go. Okay. Remember this house of holistic health and wealth? Resources, it's up here. In order to have a lot of resources, you have to have capability and material. But in order to do that, you have to light up a candle of your integrity, your character, your wisdom, your attitude. Okay, that's why we begin by introducing this house of holistic wealth and holistic health. And we begin by working on the inner being. So anyway, so that's resources, right? We want and we need resources all the time. From the most basic resource, such as food and water. Okay, that's part of the food. Okay, but we want resources, money and power. Next is appearance. Human beings were interested in appearance. It is part of our nature, part of our 16 nature, according to the Buddhist philosophy. Appearance can be our physical appearance. I chose to wear yellow this season because in honor of my my mentor 5 group. This is I got my logo group 146 today. This is the appearance that I choose to wear in honor of my group. Yellow is also a happy happy color. So part of the character, one of the character we're going to learn later is joy and happiness. Okay, so we're interested in appearance. That is our physical appearance. But then there are other type of appearance. It is the form of the way things are arranged in our spatial surrounding. We are interested not only in the way we look, but we are interested in the way things are arranged. The way our rooms in the house is arranged, the way our house look. Even the form of speech. Some people don't care what they say. They can say blah, 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 blah. They don't care. But other people will pick and choose the word so that it would sound right. It would sound classy. It is also a form and appearance. Do you notice that? All right. Some people don't really care what they wear, but they care a lot about how things look in the house, how the desk look when they're at work. Okay. So we are very interested in appearance. We are attached to it. And then next one is identity. Those of you who came in late after my initial introduction discussion, last season I used the word name or fame. This season I'm using the word identity. Okay, identity is a more comprehensive word to represent our need to identify ourselves. We each have an identity. I am male or female, that is identity. I am a father or a mother, that is identity. I'm a boss or an employee, that is an identity. I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, those are all identity. And our identity is so important to us that if anybody was to misidentify us in any way, maybe some or if anybody to insult us in any way that we feel a threat to our identity, okay, that can be a problem. And we are very attached to a sense of identity. Studies show that a person's favorite word is what? Their name. In the English word, it is the word I. Okay, I is a person's favorite word or the name. And then of course we need food. Okay, and from the most basic needs to eat to survive, there are people who identify themselves as foodies, right? F-O-O-D and then I-E-S, foodies. They like to go and sample all kinds of wonderful food in the city. We just, human beings, we just love to eat. We love food that tastes good. We love to try out different kind of food. Okay. So we're interested in foods, including drink too. Okay, just the idea of eating. Some master will share the human construct and they'll write the word eating instead of food. Same thing. Okay, we like to eat, we like to drink. And those are things that are important to us. We do it every single day. But some of us, if we skip a meal, we have problem. Okay, and we need rest. Okay, human beings are interested in rest. Rest, if you expand the word rest, it's not just taking a break from work or going to bed and sleep. It could encompass things like a big vacation. Right? Science show that if a person goes on a 1 or 2 week vacation a year, that's important to their health. It is important to go on vacation. You need rest. You need to stop working and give your body a chance to recuperate. It is part of our human being needs and important to us that we rest. And as we go through this education, I will share with you how you can find rest in all your action, so that instead of working, you're resting all day long. That is how our master Trần Thanh Toàn are able to seem to work 20-hour day, and he never gets tired because he's not actually working. He is resting throughout the day. When I'm sitting here, I'm resting. Right? We're just resting. We're just enjoying ourselves. We're just listening. We're talking. We are resting. We are conserving energy. But if we think of this as a work, if we think of this as a labor, then we're going to get tired very quickly and we're not going to be very productive. So we're resting, even as we are acting. If you have exercised the squat, if you do squat, if you try to do 100 squat, 500 squat, 1,000 squat, you're going to get tired. But after every squat, you just rest for an instant, for a tiny instant, and you find the rest within your activity, you're going to be able to conserve energy, and so you're going to be able to do a lot of it. In fact, later on, I will share with you how applying rest in action plus the emptiness of being, the truth that we're trying to seek, serenity and inner peace in action will give you the ability to exercise for a very long time. Anybody here been able to do the rotation for an hour or more? Or anybody do a 500 squat or more? No, anybody?
I'm thirsty.
Jenny, how many squat can you do? Or how long can you do the rotation?
30 minutes.
30 minutes? Okay.
Yeah, 30
Good.
minutes.
Yeah.
It's good for my back and neck.
Okay. Were you able to find rest within your action. Rest, 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 rest. If you can put your mind in a mode where you're constantly at rest, then you're not doing any exercise. You're resting throughout the entire time, and you can do an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, like the Mentor 5 just did. 5 hours of this. Okay? Squat. Up and down, up and down. If you try to do 100 squat, 500 squat, you get very tired, but you do one rest. For a split second, nobody's going to notice it, but it is a state of mind, it is a state of being where you do one, you rest. You do one, you rest. And so instead of doing 500 squat, you're just doing one squat. But you happen to do that one squat many times. Repeat it over and over, because every time you rest, you return to the state of balance. There are 2 ladies in Mentor 5 did more than 20 hours. Yes. Yes. World record. 21 hours of this. Crazy, huh? And then I think a master did 23,000 squat. Okay. 23,000 squat.
Also, our heart can beating long time because it's resting and working.
Mm-hmm.
So it can beating a long time, more 100 years.
It is a state of
heart.
mind. It's a state of being. When you put yourself back into the state of balance and rest, you reset the clock, you reset the whole system. And you do it again, you reset the whole system. You do it again, you reset the whole system. And so it doesn't matter, you can, in theory, do unlimited amount of time, as long as you have the energy, the physical energy to sustain you. 23,000 squat. But she didn't do 23,000 squat. She did one squat 23,000 times. Do you see the difference? If you think about doing 23,000 squat, that's impossible. But you can do one squat, reset, and then do it again 23,000 times, unlimited amount of time. Okay. I'm trying to work on that myself. Okay, so it is it's a really fun thing when you find the power of rest. But that's part of a human nature. Anyway, so outside of this circle, we have desire, anger, ignorance, pride, skepticism, ethic, and judgment. And it happens that the focus of the human nature, this is a 16 human nature that the Buddhist philosophy talk about. The focus of human nature is desire and ideation, or wanting and thinking. It is our desire and ideation about resources, appearance, identity, food, and rest that will directly inform and decide how we judge, how we become angry, how we, the degree of our ignorance, our pride, our skepticism, and our ethic. And that will in turn decide how we check into ourselves by admission, expression, and cognition. Okay, it is this desire and ideation. So right now, we're gonna discuss this blue circle about desire. Why? Because it is wrapped up inside a circle or a sphere of positive and negative polarity. And that is how our mind makes up our personality. Okay, so we're going to begin with, this is, yeah, let's see if I use a different pen. Okay, let's do this one. So, human nature, okay? The Buddhist words for this is nature. We are borrowing the Buddhist philosophy of human natures. And human nature, turns out we have positive and we have negative polarity. Okay. And then in the middle, it's just kind of like the word. Okay. So then we have the desire, nature of desire. Let me see. Okay, basically want. We all want things, do we not? We're always constantly wanting things. And we are always wanting resources, appearance, identity, food, and rest. Okay. Now this desire fluctuates between positive and negative. If a person wants things only for ourselves, right? If a person is always wanting things only for themselves, what do we usually say about that person? If a person only wants for themselves, do we usually call them selfish? Right? Selfish. There are other people who also want a lot of things, but instead of wanting for themselves, they want for other people. Instead of wanting food for themselves, they want to feed other people. Right? Instead of wanting to accumulate money for themselves, they want to raise a lot of money and then give to other people. Then that desire, when it goes positive, people recognize that as generosity. Right? So desire itself desire is not bad. It's okay to want things, but if you want things only for yourself, you get very negative. And you want for other people, it's called generosity, right? The Bible teaches you to be generous. Most religion, most moral philosophy teach a person to be positive in terms of their desire, to be generous to other people. It makes the world a better place to be generous. Right? Now, the thing about human nature is that we have this pendulum. It swings positive and negative. If it is possible that when you go too positive, you may swing back to negative. And if you go too negative, you may swing back to positive. Consider a person that's very selfish, always wanting for themselves, accumulating money, making money, amassing a fortune, become the richest person in the world. And at the end of their life, they realize, what is it worth? All the money that they've accumulated for themselves doesn't really have much of a value, so that they swing the other way and give it all away. Andrew Carnegie is one of the America's richest industrialists in the 1900s, possibly one of the richest men in the world, makes a lot of money. At the end, he realized, give it all away. From being intensely selfish to being intensely generous. Take another person, on the other hand, who is very generous, who does a lot of charity. Always working on charity, always working to help other people, to give away money, to distribute food and all that stuff. At some point, they may realize that they're not getting anything in return. They may become intensely selfish. They may actually take some money from the charity. Do we not see scandals like that where officers of a charitable organization, after a while, they just decided they'll just take the money. Too much generosity can turn a person selfish. Too much selfishness can swing a person back to being generous. Did you find that to be true? Yeah? Yeah, positive and negative. There's this pendulum swing. It's part of human nature. A person who kind of keep things, balanced in the middle, have a nicer, have an easier life. Okay, a much simpler life when you're not swinging too intensely generous or too intensely selfish. Take a marriage. In a marriage, if a person is too intensely selfish, you know, it may not work. But a person, at the same time, in a marriage, if a person is always giving, if a husband or wife is constantly feeling like I'm giving all my care and my love to the other spouse, at some point he or she realize, oh, I'm not getting anything in return, he or she would go find another spouse to be selfish. So too much positive, too much negative tend to bring us suffering. So we'll talk about how you can balance that in a little bit. So next one, let's go to anger. In its simplest form, anger is just this tendency of human being to become dissatisfied. We're easily dissatisfied about things. You know, we take for granted, and as soon as we have something and we take for granted, and we become dissatisfied with it very quickly. In its extreme negative form of anger, it is called wrath. This is explosive anger. It is a sin in the Christian belief, right? There are 7 deadly sins. Too much desire is also a bad thing. Greed in the Christian philosophy, too much desire is called greed. Too much anger is called wrath. Okay. Yeah, you can become very angry and you become very wrathful. On a positive scale of anger is satisfaction. Okay. When you're angry, you get more angry, you become wrathful, you explode, you yell, you break things. And then as soon as that energy dissipates, you become dissatisfied. Right? Okay, so anger also has a positive and negative polarity. On a positive side, we're satisfied. And on a negative side, we become very wrathful. Ignorance. This is a fun one. Ignorance. Ignorance simply means that we don't know things. In the previous several episodes, we talked about the circle of knowledge. Right? We know what we know, but we also realize that what we know is nothing compared to all there is to know, and sometimes very little compared to what other people know. But so that's ignorance. A person who refuses to know, okay, a person who refuses to know goes very negative in this ignorant nature, and we call that, eventually they become delusional. Okay. If a person refuses to seek out the truth, eventually all they know is falsehood, and they will become deluded. What they know is limited and false. With ignorance, if we seek out knowledge, not only knowledge that inform, right? In a previous episode, we talked about knowledge that inform, but you also try to seek out the kind of knowledge that transform. And when you have enough knowledge, you have a state of clarity. Okay? On a positive scale of ignorance, it is clarity. On a negative end, it is delusion. Even this has a positive and negative scale. A person who is constantly seeking knowledge, seeking to know things, seeking, they think they reach enlightenment. After a while, they realize that all of that may be false. They think are so clear, they think they know everything, and they realize that they don't know anything. And it falls back to a negative state where I realize I don't know anything. I've been deluded all my time, all this time. On the other hand, a person who refuses to know anything, who may be misled by many things, many people, after a while, they have come to a realization, oh, I've been deluded. And then they experience a state of clarity. Even ignorance has positive and negative. It is part of our human nature. Okay. Next one is pride. It's okay to have pride, to be proud. Pride means to be proud. You can be proud about yourself. You can be proud about your children and other people. Nothing wrong with pride. But when pride gets a little too positive, we tend to become arrogant. Arrogance, okay? Let's see. Self-confidence is a good thing. Self-confidence is a form of pride. But when you are too confident in yourself, despite all things else, we become arrogant. And people will see that. The negative form of pride, or the negative end of the spectrum, is in dark pen for negative, okay? Inferiority. Okay, a person who has a sense of inferiority feels that he or she is just not good enough. He or she doesn't deserve it. I can't do anything. I'm just not good enough. A person who has no pride in themselves find it very difficult to do anything, to accomplish anything. Remember those 6 barriers, the 6 limitation to self-awareness that we learned on the first day of the sharing? The sense of lack of knowledge, lack of ability, not being good enough. That's a person being very inferior. Interestingly enough, extreme inferiority is also a form of arrogance. Think about it. If a person is so attached to, oh, I don't know anything, I'm not good enough, and I'm not willing to step out of my comfort zone, break out of my shell, it's a form of arrogance. They are holding on to this sense of inferiority. It makes them feel proud. In fact, they are proud that they are inferior. Have you met anybody like that? They seem to be self-deprecating all the time. And then you realize, oh, that person is not only inferior, they are very proud about being inferior. It is a negative form of arrogance. On the other hand, there are people who seem to be very proud about themselves, very arrogant. I know it all. I'm better than everybody else. After a while, you realize maybe that person is compensating for something. He or she is trying to express a sense of pride where deep within, they actually feel that they are not good enough. Right? A person who is really expressive out there, just showing that they are confident. You know, for example, this happens a lot with people, especially women who recently break up from a relationship. She just becomes single and she would tell all of her friends that she is free. She's so happy to be single. She is has ownership of her life. But deep inside, she's trying to cover up a sense of inferiority. Right? Yeah. All pride. All has to do with pride. A person who knows how to manage their pride to maintain a degree of balance can have it go pretty easy without too much suffering. But you can kind of tell when a person is really erring. Yeah, maybe they're trying to hide something. There's something that is missing in their life, and they know that they're not good enough. They have to hide it by being extremely arrogant with in front of other people. So nothing wrong with pride. It's good to have a degree of confidence. Same thing with pride in our children and other people. Some parent will go out there and advertise all the great things about their children, and everybody think their children are great. But deep inside, that parent is having a certain expectation about their own children that they're not fulfilled yet. They find the need to show pride in front of other people because they have a certain expectation that their own children has not met. Arrogance hides a sense of inferiority. Extreme inferiority is a form of arrogance. Okay, part of human nature. Next one is skepticism. Okay, skepticism. Yeah, okay, skepticism. Okay, so human being, we have skepticism. That's good. We don't need to believe everything all the time. Skepticism helped us in our admission decide what we want to take in or not. In the positive end of skepticism is trust. Okay, and the negative end of skepticism is doubt. Okay, positive end of skepticism is trust. Negative end of skepticism is doubt. Imagine going through life doubting everything. Nothing is true. Nothing is believable. Right? Have you met people like that who simply doubt everything? If you live in a state of constant doubt, there's a lot of fear in it as well. Kind of hard to experience any kind of peace and happiness if you live with skepticism. You don't believe anybody. On the positive end is trust. But too much trust can lead to blind faith. Right? Blind faith can lead to superstition. A person who places blind faith in someone or something may eventually discover the truth, and then they would swing back to doubting that truth. Right? Positive and negative has a pendulum swing. Nowadays, with so much media and information coming into us, we have to be a little discerning about what we place our trust in terms of, the news. We have the right to doubt things, but at some point, we will have to find some balance, what we can trust and what we can doubt. And what can we take refuge in if the world is constantly giving news to us and information that we have to constantly ask if we should trust or if we should doubt it? Okay, and then along with that, human beings, part of our nature, we have a sense of ethic. We know right and wrong. We know good and evil. Okay. In a positive sense, our ethic is called benevolence. Okay, inside of us, our nature, we have a good nature that is called benevolence. When our ethic swing to negative, it is called cruelty. Let me use the a reference from the Holy Bible. In the Bible, there's a story, the Christian story, that in the beginning God created human beings. God put human being in a Garden of Eden, a wonderful place where human being, we have all that we need. We have food, we have nature, we are innocent, we are happy. And inside the garden, there is 2 trees that are forbidden, or not not forbidden. There is 2 trees. One is the tree of life that helps us live forever, and one is a tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And human beings, instead of eating from the tree of life, we chose to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Meaning from there on, we lose our innocence. We knew the difference between benevolence and cruelty. We begin to make good choices and bad choices. We begin to suffer. It is a story of the loss of innocence. Whereas previously, human beings, we only exist in a state of truth. We only know what we see, we only know what we hear. After that, we develop a thinking mind. We start to distinguish between good and evil. In order to know the good and evil, you have to be, able to be good or evil. You have to be benevolent, or you have to be cruel. And so human being lost our innocence the moment that we develop this sense of good and evil, benevolent and cruelty. And so the next story in the Bible is the sons of Adam and Eve, killed each other. Cain killed Abel because he was cruel. Okay, the nature of cruelty got passed down to human being, and so human beings, we are enacting cruelty since for as long as we know. And it swings from good and evil. A person who goes out there and doing good for a long time, they might suddenly find that it is not the right thing to do. They might turn around and act very cruel. And vice versa. A criminal who may spend a long time misbehaving may discover that that's not the right thing to do, and then he or she would swing back to become benevolent, to become good. Human being, we have ethics, benevolent and cruelty, and we swing back and forth. And that's why we suffer. Next one is judgment. Okay, we have judgment, right? If we didn't have judgment, we would not be able to tell the difference between benevolence and cruelty. We would not be able to make any sense of this world. Our judgment help us survive in this world. Okay, we make judgment so that we can decide, so we can choose. A person who is too judgmental, on the other hand, too positive, it becomes obstinate. Meaning his or her own judgment is the right one. Nobody else's judgment has any meaning. On a, oops, I think I did it backwards. Hang on. Oops. Obstinate is a negative form. So let me write this one. Obstinate. That's negative. On a positive one, on a positive end of judgment, positive is open-mindedness, okay? Open-mindedness. Very open-mindedness, very accepting of other people's ideas. Judgment has the word prejudice, right? You know, in a world, especially in the United States, where there is a lot of racial differences, there are different races, different ideas, different people of cultures and background, different classes. There are a lot of prejudice, to prejudge someone is to place a judgment on someone before you come to know them. A person who has judgment and refuses to change them is called obstinate. A person who has judgment but is willing to consider other people's ideas and judgment is called open-mindedness. But here's the thing, if you're open-minded all the time and you're taking everything that other people say, you believe everything, you're taking everything, then after a while you get confused and you stop being open-minded. You say, stop, I don't believe anything anymore. You're gonna be obstinate. And if a person who's very obstinate a lot, at some point, they may start to lose friends and family and colleagues, and then they will be forced to open their mind about other people's ideas and opinions. Okay. So you can see how, as human beings, we have these nature, we have this tendency. We want things, we get angry, and it swings between positive and negative, positive and negative, positive and negative all the time. And that is how it leads to a lot of suffering. The degree and complexity about all of these things. Right, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words times plus the positive and negative. Now we have 21. And then we have these other ones: resources, appearance, identity, food, and rest. You see how human nature can get really, really complicated? The field of psychology comes up with thousands and thousands and thousands of, you know, mental problem. All has to do with these things. The Buddhist philosophy helps us simplify it by just focusing on these things: desire, anger, ignorance, pride, skepticism, ethic, and judgment. So the next time when we experience a person's personality or something, we can take a moment and say, oh, okay, that is the desire talking. That person is the positive end of the desire, or the negative end of pride. Oh, that's skepticism, but that's trust. That person's very obstinate in their judgment. All of our personality derives from these 9 natures. And these 9 natures are applied to the 5 basic needs: resources, appearance, identity, food, and rest. For example, if you desire resources, let's say you desire food, okay? You're thinking, because you are desiring food, you're also thinking about food, ideation, okay? After a long day of work, you're thinking about dinner. Some of us are fortunate to have our spouse cook dinner for us. Okay, we're driving home from work and we're thinking about dinner. What's for dinner? I'm hungry. We may have a certain desire and ideation and imagination about food, certain type of food that we want. We expect it to be home. Maybe our spouse is usually cooking it. But as soon as we get home and we see no spouse and no dinner, the stronger the desire that we want food, the more likely we're going to activate the anger and go wrathful. If we don't have that strong desire for food in the first place, then when we when we see no food on the table, that's fine. We don't activate this anger. We are already satisfied with whatever. We can go to the microwave, cook our own food, and go out and make our own food. You see how our desire and imagination will activate other ones? And right, so far, does anybody want to share their own experience and speak in terms of these natures? You guys want to practice? See, we can analyze this part. We call the analytical aspect of the human nature, right? The judgment, the desire, the admission, all this part, it is the mind. This is the mind of the part that is in our mind, okay? The whole mental health psychology field works within this mind. It is our mind. We desire things, we get angry, we become prideful. Let's say a person who has a lot of pride, okay, pride in name, in the identity, pride in our identity. Let's say I take pride in being, I don't know, a father. Being a father is an identity. I have pride. I have maybe to the point of arrogance, okay? Maybe I'm very proud of being a father. I think I'm a father. And if somebody threatens my sense of pride, maybe I get arguing with my son and my son say, I hate you. And I don't want you to be my father. That would then activate my anger and my wrath. Right? Or if I have pride about being a father and I think I know a lot, my sense of ignorance, I think I know a lot about what it means to be a father. And I speak to another person who has a different judgment of what it means to be a good father, we come into conflict. And so another sense will pop up. Or how about, I think I know what it means to be a good husband. And when I meet somebody who is really good at taking care of their wife, for example, I may or may not feel a sense of inferiority when I meet somebody who's better than me at that. You see how human nature, all of these things kind of interplay with each other, and it gives rise to our personality, and it ultimately gives rise to our suffering. Okay, does anybody want to say that before we move on to the question of how to return to balance? Anybody want to practice sharing? I'm going to call on some people. I'm going to call on some people if you don't want to raise your hand. I'm going to call on Duncan. Duncan, does this open up anything new for you?
Okay, I will try to say
Yeah,
something.
go ahead, Jenny.
The first thing I feel I impressed so much about this lessons, human natures, but look inside inside myself and think about balance. Like when I have desire, it's too much. Positive is become selfish, and the same. Too much selfish become maybe positive, right? When I dedication, right? I work too much for my family. I forgot myself, and that others return me not enough. Like I think I work so much to them, so it's I feel selfish, right? Yeah, as deal in life is so much. And about anger, anger that when we balance anger, we feel satisfaction, right? Satisfaction. Oh no, I confused about how I feel anger, that I can keep my anger, right? I can control my temper. I feel satisfaction, or is it negative? I feel frustrating. I feel frustrated. Wrath, right? Wrath is that I lost my control.
Mhm.
Maybe had bad actions after that. It's no ignorance. Ignorance. I don't concentrate everything. So it's negative. Is bad thing. It's not clear. Right, delusions. But it's about clarity. That I need more you express to understand how ignorance makes us clarity. Skepticism is about always think again, right? Everything I see, I look at anyone I have has belief or not, right? Doubt or trust. Yeah, doubt, like when I learn English, I doubt myself. How can I speak English fluently one day? Or I trust myself, I can do it. It's about balance. And the ethic. So my new word, benevolence, and cruelty.
Benevolence.
Benevolence, like fantastic and wonderful, right? And cruelty is about civil. I remember that you say about fairy tale has the same, right? When we are kind, we work hard, you have benevolence, and opposite will be cruel. And finally, about judgment. I learn a lot about judgment when I speak English and I share my face, my voice. I judge myself. If I have I scared to make mistake because everyone laugh at me, or yeah, about things. That's why a lot of people they don't dare to open their mouth to practice. But when I reduce my judgment, I open-mindedness and share my voice like a baby, not like I have enough a lot of vocabularies or everything to speak my mouth, and less speak like a baby, only a few words, but speak confident and exciting. Yeah, like that. And I can't wait to hear your explanation about how to return to balance all this. Thank you so much, Mr. Wu.
Okay, thank you for sharing. Yeah. Does anybody want to say anything about, what has this, our sharing today, what is that? Chị Lâm.
Yeah, excuse me, as I'm not clear about some natures. For example, selfish. You say this nature swing, right? Swing. And why we have much selfish turn to generosity? Why? Yeah, I'm not still not clear about that.
That's a good thing. That's a good question. Huh? Why is it that sometimes we tend to swing? It seems to be that nature. We use the word nature, it is something that is natural. Somehow we born with it. Somehow it is, you know, nature is something that is very natural. It is automatic. We just have this tendency where, you know, we can be very generous. We help other people, we do charity, we sacrifice for other people. And at some point that drains our energy. We become tired, or we become, drain of energy, and we realize that we don't get enough for ourselves, and we just swing back to being more selfish.
Yeah, I can understand that side,
Yeah.
but why? I'm not, I cannot understand that why we have much selfish, we turn to generosity, turn
Mhm.
back.
I'm not sure why. Okay, I'm not sure why. I think it has to do with a loss of energy. And when we discuss about how to return to balance, we will understand more why we suffer. I think it has to do with a loss of energy, because when we devote so much energy in being positive, we will lose it, and we are forced, just like the pendulum, right? The pendulum swing, and it takes energy to go stay up here. If you stay up here for so long, you will lose energy. You are forced to drop, and it swings backward. That's the way nature works. That's why in the physical world, it's like same as the pendulum clock. It requires energy to bring the ball up here, and it loses energy being up there, so it has to fall down. That's just the way the nature. There's a cyclical nature about the physical world. It seems that human nature, we fall on the same principle or the same law, where we spend a lot of energy being on it. We are forced. It just naturally happened that we will just lose it. We will lose the energy, and we will swing the other way. The people who are happy tend to be the people who remain fairly balanced and fairly positive in their nature. I don't know if we have time today, but either late at the end of today or next week, we will talk about how to maintain a positive sum of energy, where your energy is balanced and positive, so that your life would be positive and happy. Okay. But that's a
Yeah.
good question. Hold on to that question as we discuss how to return to balance, as we discuss inner peace, as we discuss happiness. Maybe the answer will come to you. And maybe the answer will not need to come to you. You won't need to worry about why we swing back and forth anymore. Because do we really want? Do we really care about why we are selfish and swinging back and forth, or do we care more about being happy and being at peace? Hope, either the answer will come to you through the subsequent discussion, or the question itself won't be all that important. Okay, Marianne, go ahead and
Yeah,
share.
thank
But thank you, Dee, for that question. I will, hold on to that question. If your inquiry is aligned with your desire, if your desire is about happiness and peace, then you will have a realization that falls along the line of your desire. If we're wondering about why we swing between positive and negative, and we are focusing on the negative aspect, then you're gonna get the answer that will reinforce a negative outcome. Okay, so hold on to that thought, but make sure that you are clear in your desire, what you ultimately want to achieve with that inquiry. Okay, Marianne, please go ahead.
Hi, Frank.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Hi, Merry Christmas. Actually, I always think about, I try to make things easy for people to understand. So, talking about food, if you eat same food every day, every day, every month, every years, day in, day out, months in and out, eventually you get sick of it, right? So what I'm thinking about all these human natures, if you more on a positive side for so long, you get sick of it, because, it's like, and naturally your body cannot tolerate anything that, too extreme, like either too positive or too negative. Yeah, we always, find way to, to balance. So that's how I think about it, don't be selfish all the time, and then don't be too generous to the day that you don't have a penny or anything to eat. I always said I'm not a living saint. I'm not like Mother Teresa that give up everything. I can't be like her, but I can give out or donate, do some charity work within my ability. Like, okay, if I can give them $20, I give them $20. If I can afford to, give out, my old car, yeah, I'll give out my old car, something like that. But sometimes I'm selfish, sometimes like, I've looked at that, a person, and I said, well, if I don't think this person going to appreciate what I give them, so I'm not going to give them. It's human nature. One day you wake up, get out of bed, happy and refreshed, and one day you get out of bed like, I don't want to get up. So we just don't know. So just try to be balanced in the middle. But the way that you explain this, Frank, what I learned from this is when I look at like when I encounter somebody and I see they getting angry, then I'll think about, oh my God, they're gonna be angry, so I better stay away. Stay away, run away, or just zip my mouth. So that person doesn't go to the extreme. So this just helped me to understand the people reaction. If I say they so negative, then I just back out. And if they so happy, so generous, then oh yeah, I raise them, and when you are near people who are positive, you can feel that energy. You can feel that the positive energy spread out to the room, to the whoever near them. And the same thing with the negative people. So it's always good to stay in a balance. So just usually I teach myself too, like if I become angry, I said, oh no, better calm down, don't be too negative. Or if I'm so happy to the point that people think I'm crazy, then I said, oh no, I better stop. So yeah, so that's how I learned from this lesson. Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. Along the line with that, and I think to partly answer the Lam Lam's question, I used to have a problem with anger. And once I learned this material, I started to go back to that statement that the focus of human nature is desire and ideation. So whenever, the reason people swing back and forth, I think it also has to do with the desire and ideation. When I was angry, now whenever I feel anger, I started thinking, okay, what is it about my desire that is not being met? It is usually anger happens as a result of desire not being met, like food. I easily, I have a strong desire for food. Okay, one of our resources, I have strong desire for food. When my desire for food is activated, I start thinking about it. And the more complex I think about it, the more strongly I desire about it. And when that is not being met, I would feel the initiation of anger. Okay? Money, the desire for resources and power and influence. If I'm telling my son to do something, that is the desire for power and influence, and my son doesn't do it, I start to realize, I start to get angry. And as soon as I'm angry, I go back to that statement. Oh, the focus of human nature is desire and ideation. What am I desiring? I am desiring power and influence over my son. And I have a bunch of ideation and thoughts about it. And when that desire for power, resources over my son is not being met, I get angry. Last year, I was sued by a company, business related stuff. And when the lawsuit took place, I became very angry. And then I take a step back. I think, okay, I'm angry because I have a certain desire about money, about financial resources, and that desire is being threatened. And I think a lot about it. And the more ideas and images that I have about it, and when that desire for money and financial resource is not being met or being threatened, I feel angry. So every time I feel angry, I go back and I realize it is my desire for something that is not being met. It is the same thing with being generous, right? A person may be very generous with other people. A mother may be very generous about other people. A spouse may be very generous, always giving, always sacrificing, always serving. But their desire to help other person at the same time also come with a desire to be helped, to be served. And when that desire to be served is not being met, it will swing right back. They will get angry and then they will swing back to selfishness. As with every other one, it will always go back to the desire. A parent may be very proud of their children, right? You know, my sister is very proud about her children, that her children that, you know, they are very smart, they did great in school, they play piano, they are always achieving. So she is very proud of it. But that pride also comes with a certain desire for identity. She wants to be proud and be acknowledged as a good mother, right? She's a good mother, good teacher of her children. So when her children doesn't listen to her, that desire to be a good mother is being threatened. She gets angry, right? Same as every other one. You want to go back to, if you want to know the why people swing from positive to negative and negative to positive, it is usually desire for something that is not being met that will cause them to swing back. And the desire will initiate the imagination, the ideation. The more strongly you want something, the more strongly you attach to something, the more thoughts and ideas we put into it, we invest a lot of energy into it. And when that is not being met, we swing, we go back to angry and we swing the other way. Yeah, I think that kind of answers to the question, right? Yeah, okay. So anybody want to know how we can return to balance? Knowing why doesn't help you get back to balance. Knowing why, you know, give a little bit of clarity on why we're in the darkness, but it doesn't bring the light into the situation. Okay, that's why sometimes you don't need to know why, you just need to know how to return to balance, how to go back to inner peace, and how to ultimately, from inner peace, we can create happiness. Happiness doesn't, how do you say, happiness, I was going to say, happiness is not always guaranteed, because oftentimes happiness can be derived from pleasure. right? When our pleasure, such as when our resources, appearance, identity, food, and rest are being met, then we feel a certain pleasure and we call it happiness. But when that is not being met, how can we be happy? On the other hand, if we can achieve a state of inner peace, then from inner peace, we can initiate happiness. True happiness is derived from joy and inner peace, not from pleasure. Okay, I think that's a good point for me to actually write it. I didn't intend to write it, but I think it's important before we go to the balance. So happiness okay, so there's two sources for happiness. One is pleasure. Okay, one is inner peace. Okay, pleasure is derived from, remember this one, appearance. Or you just buy a brand new dress, we feel very happy. Okay, that's appearance. I just cleaned the house. Everything is in order. That is a form of appearance. This is form. I feel very happy. Resources, okay? Right, we make a lot of money. We win the lottery. We feel very good. We get a paycheck. We feel very good. Pleasure, happy. Resources, appearance, identity. We just got a promotion. We now have a new identity. Identity, okay, that makes us very happy. A child was born, we are now a parent, we get very happy. Food, obviously, we get to eat, we feel very happy after we eat, and we feel very good after we have a good rest. Pleasure derived from these things. But these things are impermanent. They are outside of ourselves. And we may get it, and then soon after that, the pleasure, this thing goes away, and so does our pleasure goes away, and so does our happiness. Most people in this world, for the past thousands of years, have looked outside of themselves for happiness that is derived from pleasure, that is derived from these 5 basic needs: resources, appearance, identity, food, and rest. And when these are not met, we feel pain, we suffer. That's why we use the story of the demon and the human. Human beings and the demon were at war with one another, and as a human being exiled the demon made one last act of revenge. They stole something that is true within us and hide it deep within us. They stole the truth and hide it deep within us. And we can't find it because we're always looking outside. Right? Appearance, resources, identity, food, right? All of these are outside, given to us. We are looking outside for pleasure and for happiness. And while some of us are fortunate enough to experience some of these, they don't last. The majority of the population experience suffering because they are looking outside. So instead, this is gonna say outside, okay? Outside. This is inside. Inner peace. Okay, so we're going to talk about that, how to return to balance and experience inner peace. Remember this part in here? We're going to call it, I just rewrite it. We have the will. To hear, to see, to speak, and okay, okay, there we go. And to know. Okay. And let's paint it with the, let's use what color? Let's use this color. Okay. I'm gonna draw this circle around it. It's gonna simplify this whole human construct into just a few circles. Okay. Right outside of that is the mind. Okay, the mind, the personality, those natures. Okay, these natures, okay, they make up our mind and our personality. So we'll call that the mind. And the way I'm going to draw this circle is right here. We're going to leave a space like that. Outside of that is we have the emotion. The mind and the emotion. Okay. Outside of that is the body, but we're not going to focus on the body for now. Okay, we're just going to work on the interiority. And from inside here, we're going to draw a tunnel. Okay, I'm going to draw a tunnel like that. Okay. And then, first of all, we are going to label these. The interior, let's see. The innermost part, let's use the innermost part, we call it inner being. Okay. The mind part, yeah, the inner being, the mind part is there's a bunch of action word that is associated with it. Okay, so the mind, what do we do with the mind? We're going to use a word. Where do we do it? Most of the time, we use the mind to analyze. Okay, we use the mind to analyze and distinguish. Okay. With the emotion, we feel it and we express it. So we're gonna say that we interact with other people through the emotion. Interact with the emotion. Okay. There we go. The mind, we analyze and distinguish. Let's draw the line into the space. There you go. Interact with our emotion. Okay. With the inner being, we're going to use the word receive. Okay. Okay. So, and let's use this one. So whenever we receive, when we encounter other people or circumstances in life, when we encounter other things in life, it is information. Okay. Somebody says something, we hear a news, we see an image. It is information. If that information goes through the mind, right? If it goes through this layer, we start to analyze. We start to analyze it. How we analyze it is determined by our nature. How strongly we desire, how strong, our tendency to be anger, how we are generous with people and things. Do we tend to be satisfied? Are we inferior? Trust. All of these will give rise to how we receive the information if we let it go through the mind. For some of us, it goes through the emotion and it takes on an emotional charge. It could be a positive or negative charge. Okay, let's take, for example, if someone call us crazy. Somebody call us crazy. It's best if we interact. Does anybody want to interact at this moment? I think it's better if we use a real example. Who wants to work with me in this part? And let's see if we can find that balance. Or it's fine, we can do a little bit more theoretical discussion. Let me ask you this. Is it not the case that we see and hear before we decide what we see and what we hear? Is it not the case that the information comes in just through our natural, true seeing and hearing before we know that it is something that we're seeing and hearing? For example, look at the shared screen. What is that? What is this?
A pen.
A pen. But let me ask you, is it true that we see this pen before we call it a pen?
Oh yeah, you have to see
Yeah,
it
we have to
before you
see it
can call
first.
the name. Yeah.
Yeah, you see it first before we call it a name. We see it first before we call it a name and before we have an emotional response to it. That is why this already always hearing and already always seeing is the truth within us. We will always see it and hear it before our mind and emotion put on our charge. But because it happens so quickly, we're so used to it. It happens so quickly that we instantly either use the mind to call it something or respond and interact with an emotion. Did somebody notice that? So if I call you crazy or somebody calls us crazy, do we not hear the word crazy before we analyze what that word means, before we think about the person, before we react in a emotional way?
Yeah, it take a second. Yeah.
It's a nanosecond, it's almost instantaneous. But we're so used to it. We are so used to reacting or analyzing that we don't even notice that we will see and hear it before the mind and the emotion takes over. And that is why we suffer. We suffer because when information comes into us, we don't realize that the first thing that happens is the already hearing and the already seeing receives it. And it receives it without any emotion. It receives it with any analytical thinking. And we just let the mind and the emotion take over. And so we start to feel, we start to think. And depending on our nature, The word crazy could mean many things to many different people. Depending on our nature, we could get angry or we simply ignore it. Or how about the word pretty? When somebody calls us pretty, do we not hear it or see it before we start thinking that it is the word pretty, before we have an emotional response to it?
Mhm.
Right? And so as soon as we realize that, oh, we hear and see before we respond with our emotion or analyze with our mind, then if we can sustain the state of being in which we know we hear and we know we see, then it is empty. There is no burden of the thought, there's no burden of the feelings, no mind, no emotion. It is empty. Emptiness of being. And the longer we can extend that time, the longer we can suspend the judgment of the mind, the analytical mind, the longer we can prevent the emotion from jumping in, the longer the emptiness. And that emptiness is inner peace. And then after that, we can proactively choose to analyze if we want to, or we can proactively choose to respond with an emotion. If we need to be angry, you can be angry, but you proactively be angry. If you need to be joyful or something, you can proactively do it. And that is why the inner being is called the truth within us, because we are already seeing, we are already hearing. And it is also called emptiness of being. There are a lot of words for it. Our inner being, our true self, our Buddha nature, nature of God. Okay, other words like emptiness of being. It is empty because it has no emotional charge and it has no thought. And it's that simple. If we want to return to balance, especially in a world where things are constantly changing, if we want to return to balance, all we got to do is realize that we are already seeing and we are already hearing. And when something happens, somebody call it crazy or somebody call it pretty. Oh, I know I see, and I know I hear. I know I see, I know I hear is not emptiness itself. It is just a tool because you're doing something, right? You're doing something. That's still the mind. You're doing it, but at least it points us back to the emptiness of being. And the longer we can maintain that space and that time of, I know I hear, I know I see, and wait, don't judge us yet, don't judge, don't analyze, don't. The longer you can sustain that sense of emptiness, the longer you will experience inner peace. Does anybody get this so far?
Yeah.
Duncan?
So, mhm.
A lot of our a lot of our participants here have already gone through the training in Vietnamese, so they understand. But I think Duncan, you are relatively new here. Would you care to interact with us?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Thanks,
What do you
Frank.
think so far? Did you get it? Did you get the emptiness of being is a space in which all we know is we know that we're here and we know that we see.
Yes.
Okay. Has anybody of you, has you, Duncan, ever experienced a moment where something happens and you don't judge it, You don't feel anything, you don't analyze, you just know, you just be in that moment. Has that ever happened to you in your life?
Yeah, but it's not. It's not somewhere I'm not comfortable there. Actually, it's something I want to. As soon as it comes in, I want to stop it by indulging in anger or some other, behavior that makes me feel alive. And
Yeah, okay. You can do that if you want to. Okay. And nobody's gonna stop you from doing that.
yeah, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. The thing is, we do it all the time. We let indulgence in anger and things that makes us feel alive. But it does sap our energy, our emotional energy, our spiritual energy. And if we want the kind of peace and happiness that is more stable and lasting, then you can choose to employ this trick, so to speak. I know I see and I know I hear. Okay. So if for those of you who are seeking peace and happiness, there is this, let's draw this other one. Draw this one. So imagine this is a river. On the other, there's a raft. Okay, so this is a river on. I'm gonna draw a raft with green. Okay, green raft. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Green raft. Okay. This is a raft on a river. Bamboo raft. Nice little bamboo raft there. Fresh bamboo, nice and green. Okay, bamboo raft. And let's do one more. Bamboo raft, and we're floating down or across the river. And on the other side is the shore of serenity. Serenity, the shore of serenity. Peace. Then the raft is no, I hear. I know, I see. Okay, that's the raft. And the time it takes for you to float to the shore of serenity is called emptiness of being. So imagine you're in a conversation or somebody makes you angry, and we have the tendency to start analyzing and emoting, feeling. If we want to go back to peace, we jump on a raft called I know I hear and I know I see. Knowing that I hear, knowing that I see, the longer that we can maintain I know I hear and I know I see, the longer we can suspend the emotion and the thought, and we feel inner peace, serenity. Okay. What do you think? Is that something that might be useful?
Yeah, very useful. Can I share something?
Yeah.
Okay, so like I said, our widow, my husband is dead, so I can talk about him now because he cannot talk back to me. But I want to just to share the lesson. I wish that I know this knowledge, sooner. Now, I think everybody in here, in the relationship. So, usually we always, you know, a husband and wife, or you know, if we are in a intimate relationship, then we easy to fight, because we always, everybody want to be right, you know, like, okay, you wrong, I'm right. But now when and I don't realize why, you know, because I have no knowledge that, you know, being wrong, being right has nothing, doesn't gain anything, you know. If you are right, so what? If you wrong, so what? So when so we, you know, we argue a lot. We argue a lot to the point that I decided to separate it, you know, from him. But now he dead, so I kind of like feel sorry, you know. I wish I can turn back the time, but because I know now, you know, it doesn't matter who right, who wrong, as long as we are happy. The goal, our goal is to be happy, and at the end, who going to stay with you? Not your children's, right? You spend your whole life raising them up, and as the woman, when we have children, we tend to forget about a man. We focus more on the children's because we carry it, you know. And now, but it's, you know, I remember when I have a, you know, argument with my husband. I said, and my husband get jealous, you know, like, why you always take care of the daughter? You ignore me, you know, you don't take care of me. I said, yeah, because, you know, see, my daughter, you know, I carry it, and, you know, her in my body. See, part of my body, you not. You are like totally strangers to me, you know. Yeah, so so that's why. So now I think about it. So I learned a lesson. Now I'm getting older too, right? And just think about my parents. Like, okay, when we were younger, you know, all our children will grow up and have a family of their own, just like we are, right? So my parents will spend time to each other. Who take care of them? So I was thinking, okay, when I get older, who's going to take care of me? Not my children, my spouse, right? My spouse. So if the both of us, man and woman, value each other, you know, like, okay, at the end, we little fight here and there, you know, it's normal. But never, ever thinking about divorce. I'm not picking on anybody, okay? I'm just sharing my feeling right now. You know, I guess I can turn back the time. Well, he had my husband had a heart attack and passed away, but I always making fun of it, you know. I like because I'm so selfish and I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to take care of him. That's why, you know, he just, you know, die. I was making fun of it, and people look at me like, "What, are you crazy? You lost your husband and you still laughing?" I said, "No, I'm crying, but I mean, in my room, you know, not outside. Outside, I try to be happy, but now I know about this philosophy, and being a Catholic, study about Bibles. Now I understand the Bible more. I couldn't believe it. You know, I couldn't believe that before I, you know, go to church, and, you know, all the nuns and the priests, you know, teach me all kind of, you know, good philosophy, you know, good rules and regulation. I just heard, you know, in one ear and go out the other ear. But now when I studied this, And I said, oh, wow. No, I don't know, for some reason, my mind is open, and I understand, I can apply what I learned, from my point of view, from the Bible. Yeah, so I just want to share something like that. So like I said before, try to be a child, always not always keep, yourself young and healthy and happy. Act a child, like just imagine, look at your children. When you say something when they were small, they don't understand, they don't carry emotion, they don't judge, they don't analyze, they just hear. They just hear. That's it. Okay, mommy said ăn or eat. Okay, eat. Sleep. Okay, sleep. Okay, don't do this, don't do that. Okay, don't do this, don't do that. They don't analyze. They don't, don't give emotion. They don't give feeling, whatever. So that's why I was thinking, okay, hey, why can't I just, have a mind as a child? So I just hear what I hear. Do not analyze, and but so then sometimes I have a faith, Frank, that I will like how you say it, like when I hear things, but I don't analyze. So people think like what is it, how you say it, like chảnh đó. I don't think tiếng Anh là gì, giống như kiểu là người ta okay nói oh at your age, wow, you look young or something. I just oh yeah, thank you, and that's it, so, and I didn't know how to raise them back, usually when people raise you about your appearance, they want something back, they want you to look at them and give them, oh yeah, you too, your hair, your, whatever. But I just, oh yeah, thank you, and just just like that. So, I think people, I don't know, after that I'll stop talking, but I just, that's my son being a widow. At the end, only your spouse is your best friend, and will stay with you and tolerate you until you die. Okay, that's it. That's all I want to share, and that's what I learned from this lesson.
A couple of
because
I'm sharing.
Yeah, I'm in the medical field too. So when I'm thinking about this, why I have to hurt myself? When you get angry, your blood pressure raise, right? You raise your blood pressure, your heart, you cell, or you kill all your cell, and you're getting older, your hair getting gray, whatever. So now, I said, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not going to, kill myself. By by being right, being correct, so I wish, I can turn back a time, and then but that's all I want to share.
Yeah, I
Thank you
appreciate
for
that, Marianne.
thank you for hearing.
Yeah, well, I thank you for sharing, opening yourself up, and that is a gift of your speech, gift of your heart. There are a lot of pearl of wisdom in what Marianne has just shared with us, and I want to see if I can go through it and point out some of the pearl of wisdom that we can pick up from Marianne. One of them is attachment to identity. When Mary, a lot of women, when they have children, they change their identity. When a woman first married, she is a wife, right? All of her attention is devoted to the husband. She is a wife. That is one identity. When a woman carries a child for 9 months, she takes on a new identity, a new attachment to her identity. I am now a mother. The husband, on the other hand, didn't carry the child, so he still have the same attachment to her previous identity. The mother now has the woman now has a new identity of being a mother. The husband has his attachment. They both have attachment. They both have desire. Remember the human concept, right? We're working on human construct. So let's see if we can put this into context. Our desire and ideation. The husband desires a wife. He has thoughts and ideas in mental images, ideation about the woman being his wife. He has an attachment to her being a wife, her identity. A woman, on the other hand, has taken on new identity. She now has desire and imagination about the new identity, about being a mother, with her children. And so you have a conflict between this desire and ideation about one identity from one person versus the desire and identity about another identity from another person. So you have a conflict between a husband and a wife. This happens all the time, right? And what is the final outcome is unhappiness. On the other hand, if both the woman and the husband realize that if I am no one, then I can be anyone. If a woman realizes that at one moment I can be new identity, mom, or when my children are not around, I can still let go of that new identity because I'm no one. I can be anyone. When my husband is around, I can still be a wife or girlfriend, a lover. Is it not the attachment to identity that is a cause of our suffering? Okay. If we are attached to our identity, we suffer. We run into conflict between husband
And the identity come with the entitlement. Is that what you're trying to say? Like, okay, right? Like the entitlement. Like, okay,
No,
you're a
not-
husband, you're supposed to do this. I'm a wife. I expect you to do this because you are my wife. I expect you to do A, B, and C. And when
that,
the wife
the
don't do
identity,
that,
it comes. There's a lot of things that comes up with it. Okay, it manifests everything else. The focus of human construct and nature is desire and ideation. Ideation is all the expectation, all the that we come entitlement. If the husband is wise enough, later on we'll learn about the different levels of wisdom, level 1, 2, and 3. If the husband is wise enough to realize that I am no one, then I can be anyone. That he is not attached to her identity as a mother of his child. At the same time, you as a woman, also you already learned the root cause formula, right? The cause of life, it begins with me. And you can, now that you can learn to let go of your in the root cause formula, that this is a review, that in that whole discussion, we learned that all things are essentially empty. From the pen, it is only a pen when we choose it to be a pen. It has a potential to be anything. But same thing for ourselves. Who we are is essentially empty. We can be anyone at any moment. If we are attached to identity, then we kind of feel trapped by that identity. We have to be a mother and children. I have to be a mother. I have to spend my time. I have to this. Then we are trapped by that identity. And the consequence of the choices we made as a result of that attachment to identity and is, we get divorced. But if a woman realizes that the essence of all things are empty and who I am is no one, and therefore I can be anyone. When I'm with my children, I can be 100% mom. When I'm with my husband, I can be 100% wife. Then I'm no longer attached to identity, and then I can utilize the root formula. You create mental images about yourself. You can use old images that you already have as a woman who is you know, a wife, or you can create new images, new identity. So is it possible to be both a woman, and is it possible to be both a mom and a wife? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. It's possible to be both. And it's possible to be one or the other at an appropriate time. It is the attachment to this identity and the refusal to let it go that bring us unhappiness. But if we learn to
Okay.
let go of it, then we can create new possibility for ourselves. We can be at peace with who we are, at the same time, be more than who we are. So the lesson here is, the lesson here is not don't get divorced. The lesson here is you can be both a wife and a mother. And if we don't devote too much energy into the desire and ideation about certain identity, then we have plenty of energy to invest in other identity. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're talking about sĩ thân, right? In tiếng Việt.
So now, so, I hear you said the word widow. That is a new identity, right? Question is,
Mm-hmm.
how attached are you to that identity? How
A
attached
lot.
yeah, a lot. Yeah. How does it feel to be attached to that identity? If we can go back to, if you can go back to, I'm no one, I can be anyone, then you can create new possibility, new mental images. The question is, does our attachment to identity bring us peace and happiness? If it does, then great. But if you can detach from that identity, realize that I'm no one, I can be anyone. Do you think you can invent a new identity?
Yeah. I'm
what
a
do you think?
single now.
Okay, so now you see, so that's a new, different identity. So instead of being a widow,
I'm
I'm a
single.
single woman.
Right. I'm all right. So now, nope. I'm single, available, healthy and
There you
happy,
go.
and whatever.
Sounds like a dating
Yeah.
profile.
Right. So yeah, I don't yeah, widow, when I say, oh yeah, widow, but whoa, wow, she must be like what, 70, 80? No, yeah. So from now, no, I'm single. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
not gonna say I'm widow anymore.
So with that new identity of being single, what new possibility has opened up for you in your life?
A lot. I might attract new soulmate. Who knows?
Maybe that new
But I
soulmate.
mean, yeah, being single, it's just the word single make me feel like, okay, I'm young, energetic, full of energy, happy, and ready to explore.
20 years old.
Versus, yeah, versus widow, like I go and stay home, whatever. Okay, yeah. So that's good. Thanks, Frank.
Yeah, does that sound kind
Yeah.
of freeing? Kind of freeing?
Yeah,
Liberating?
yeah, free.
New energy, new possibility.
Liberating. Yep.
So you can invent new mental images, right? Reapply. This teaching is great. This philosophy is wonderful because you can turn your life around in an instant.
Right.
We recognize that our attachment to identity because of a result of desire and ideation about identity, right? That has been a trap, a source of unhappiness. And as soon as we can apply the root cause formula, we can free ourselves from it and create new possibility, new life. Transformation just happen instantly.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, so I hope this has been a value for other people as well. Okay, anybody else in the Zoom got something out of this interaction between me and Marianne? So, great blessing to you, Marianne. You have created the value for other people. Life can only get better from here for you. Okay, we'll learn
Thank
about
you.
we'll learn about the spiritual energy of blessing and merit in the next session. But in the meantime, Duncan, you just unmuted yourself. Do you want to say something?
Oh, I'm listening a lot. I'm very confused. So, as usual, but first, I would just like to say thanks for you for putting this on and for everyone else for being part of it. We wouldn't be here without you, so I'm really grateful. I'm struggling a bit with the way that if I'm understanding it correctly, that we can have inner peace if we can bypass the emotion and the mind. So if we can, then we can get through to the what we know, what we hear, what we see. And the way to get inner peace is to get there without the emotion and the mind. You're saying that it's our emotions and our thoughts that somehow taint or color our experience so that we can't have inner peace.
It does. That's the claim. Yeah,
So
it is a claim.
if these thoughts and feelings have a purpose, is it actually the thoughts and the feelings that is the problem, or is it our attachment to those?
Okay, good. Inquiries, good. I'm happy that you're having these inquiries. Okay, so but before we get deep into that, okay, just want to make sure that you know where we are. What part of this map are you in right now?
Oh, I'm busy thinking, yeah.
You're in the mind, you're in the thinking mind. You tend to do that, huh? Okay. As a result of you being in the thinking mind, you're not letting your true hearing and your true seeing shine through.
Yeah, but don't we need the thinking mind to survive? I mean, we
we needed to survive. Yeah, if that's all you want to do.
here for a
If
purpose.
all we want to do is to survive, keep on doing it. Human beings have been surviving for the last, I don't know, 100,000 years since we started to use our mind. Nothing wrong with that. And you can keep that if you want to.
These two, yeah, but they're at odds with each other. I get I think what you're saying is that to have inner peace, you can't have inner peace if you have thoughts and emotions. The two can't exist together.
First of all, inner peace is not something that human being can maintain indefinitely. No, that's accepted. We can't maintain it.
Yeah, right.
But the power of inner peace is its ability to at least briefly free us from the thinking mind and the emotion. And from inner peace, after you experience that moment of inner peace, you also experience clarity. So that using the formula for the root cause of life, after the inner peace, you have the power to choose how you think and how you feel. It becomes more powerful, more meaningful, and more clear. Your mind and your emotion are a lot more positive and clear, and a lot more beneficial to you if you begin from a space of emptiness as opposed to instantly goes to the mind and emotion.
Yeah,
it opens up a space of power for choice.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it opens up a powerful choice. It's free will. The will comes from in here. If we don't arrive at the will of the free will first, then we are constantly being slave to our mind and emotion. Other people can manipulate us with information, whatever they say to it. This is how the marketing world works. They manipulate our emotion, right? In the marketing world, in the business world, what they do is they tap into our desire for resources, power, and money, our desire for appearance, right? Clothing and how we look, our sense of identity when they associate a shoe with a celebrity. The marketing world give us food, all right, and advertise our vacation, and they manipulate us so that we can take action according to what they want. And if we don't allow the information to go into the emptiness space here, we cannot activate the free will. We're being led by other people. But if we let the information comes in, just see that we see, know that we hear, know that we see, and then we can activate choice. We can choose to respond. You can choose to think about it, good, bad, should I do it, should I do it not, that's fine. Or even emote. But the power is choice, freedom. And that is why it's called the truth will set you free. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And the truth is so simple. I just know I see, I know I hear. You see the benefit?
Oh, sure. And it fits in with other practices that I'm doing at the moment with dealing with feelings in that, or unpleasant feelings in particular, but in that the first step really is to ground myself and to unhook from the feeling, to know that I'm separate from the feeling. So to get into that space you're talking about where I'm just dealing with the actual fact that I'm hearing, that I'm knowing, that I'm seeing. That's, to me, that's grounding.
Sure, that's a different, yeah,
feelings,
different practices have different words for it. Yeah.
that place of peace, where I can then examine the thoughts and feelings without being so clouded and messed up. I can come from a place of peace that you're talking about. Yeah. It can do it. It is a choice, like you say. It's a choice to stop and not be overrun with, overwhelmed with those thoughts and emotions and the pause. And so, yeah, no, it fits in well with what I already do, and with other things I'm trying to research.
Well, you're getting it, Duncan. It's great. I'm happy to see you're getting it. I'm very grateful that you're sharing as well. When we get to the point, when we get to the sharing on the different levels of wisdom and attitude, we will really make good use of the emptiness. There are a lot of knowledge and intelligence and wisdom that we can benefit from when we experience a state of emptiness and peace. Often, in the Christian language, it is listening to God, right? Historically, in the Christian world, we understand prayer. Prayer is talking to God, and oftentimes we ask. Prayer is oftentimes we spend a lot of time asking for what we want. Usually, we only pray when we are sick or when we pray when we're in trouble. And the thing is, God is constantly talking to us. And oftentimes God is giving us the answer and the resources that we need to deal with whatever problem, but we don't get it because we are so busy thinking. We're so busy feeling. And all we got to do is slow down, stop thinking, or at least just listen. Right? I know what I hear, and then we would actually catch the messages from God more clearly. The saints are the people who do this. Okay, people who meditate, they do get messages from a higher power. But we'll get to that when we talk about different levels of wisdom, level 4 wisdom. Okay. Next week we are going to talk about something that is very new to Western world and Christian world. It has to do with a type of spiritual energy that will attract good fortune into our lives, or bad fortune into our life, or the kind of energy that will open our mind and help us understand things like this, the emptiness of being. It takes a certain kind of spiritual energy to actually get this stuff. If you are, or those of you who already got this stuff, consider yourself blessed and fortunate. Okay, that's all I have for today. Anybody want to say a last word? Any lessons that you have learned before we say good night and goodbye? No? Okay. In that case, Merry Christmas, all of you. Okay. Enjoy. I will see you next year. It'll be next year, next week.
Thank you
Okay.
so much. Yeah.
Okay,
Merry
bye-bye.
Christmas and Happy New Year.
All right. Take care.
You, cảm ơn nhiều. Dạ, đó.
Các đứa cái đây cái sẽ Vietnamese cảm ơn nhiều.
Many thanks, Mr. Frank, anyone.
Okay.
Thank
Good night,
you,
guys.
friend. Thank you, everyone.
All right.